No one's coming to pick you to do the perfect job or to give you the perfect opportunity. You have to choose yourself and decide that's what path you're on. I wanted to be strategic and have lots of decision-making power. Essentially, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. We're not as fixed in our identities as we think. I love running my own business. I love making decisions, and I don't mind the financial responsibility and risk that comes with it. In order to be an authority or a thought leader in your space, you need to really carve a space, right? You can't be an authority in a vague thing.
Hello and welcome to Coffee and Oysters, a London Business Babe podcast where we get you together with business tips that actually work and let you know where it's worth tapping your oyster around the city. My name is Frances Adair Matthews, and I'm a certified Notion consultant and founder of the Notion Bar, where I get my clients together with personalized productivity systems built in Notion. For my systems-loving girlies, and never fear, every month I host the Big Notion Energy Academy, where we go over Notion's latest releases, and you can ask me, a certified Notion expert, your burning questions. Details in the show notes. How is it going? Well, it's still summer. For the freelancer girlies and guys out there listening, we do have a few guys who do listen into the podcast. Summer is a weird time as a freelancer. I like to call it forced annual leave. Because no one's getting back to you in emails and you just kind of have to ride it out. But then, at least in my industry, productivity, the beginning of the year and the end of the year are absolutely crazy. I have some really great months routinely, and so I just kind of take the summer as it is, let people go on holiday with their kids and stuff, and people will get back to you, basically. I'm starting to post more on TikTok, and the last TikTok that I posted was basically about the low salaries in London and how I think it's cruel to, if you know that you only have 30k, right? And for a senior position at that, or anything like that, I don't think it's fair to have people in 5 days a week, offer that 4 days a week maybe, and then at least people can freelance or do other things, because I feel like it only comes back to bite you. So okay, fine, you're offering a wage that someone can't comfortably live off. Guess what happens? Now they have to take an extra job, side hustle, whatever, so they can make ends meet. Now they're exhausted in the role that you hired them for, and they're not even doing it properly. So it only comes back to bite you. And yeah, I just think I would love to see more businesses shift towards this kind of part-time role situation if they know they don't have the funds to respectably back up a 5-day-a-week role at the market rate. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, especially if you're following along on Substack, which you should be. Anyways, enough about me. Let's get into today's show.
Hey London Business Babe. This community is built for us and by us to ungatekeep your next move and life in the city. If you never want to miss out, subscribe to the Substack, where episodes will land straight in your inbox. Plus, every other Monday, you'll get a chance to feature on the show by shouting yourself out in the Manifest Monday email. You never know who's listening. Details in the show notes. Now, grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and let's get into today's interview.
Super excited for today. I have Ellen Donnelly, who is a leading UK business coach and writer on the future of work and shift to mass entrepreneurship, something we are very passionate about over here. She helps independent consultants replace their 9-to-5 salaries working solo and host Authority Club, the go-to network for big thinkers. Welcome to the show. How's it going? Thanks for the intro. Great to be here. It's fun because we did a similar chat for my podcast newsletter not long ago. So it's cool to carry on the conversation today. Yeah, 100%. I love what you do. I've literally pinned it as one day I'm going to book a VIP day with you. Yes. I guess it's that. A wish list item. But It's so cool. Like how, because you started out in recruiting, I had a bit of a
Hmm.
sniff on your LinkedIn. Like, how do you transition from recruiting to a business coach?
Yeah,
How does that work?
such a good question. Recruiting was wonderful in so many ways of understanding what people wanted from their career and just doing like one-on-one calls with people, helping them land their dream roles. But then as a recruiter, you're kind of like limited as to the roles and help you can provide somebody with. It's like, well, I have this job or nothing. And there was this like in the nothingness, many people were making big decisions, questioning things like, it wasn't just, is this the right job? It's like more existential questions. I sort of saw the path of the creator economy coming up, the rise of influencers talking about ideas and helping people navigate questions in their lives, whether it was dating, health, or finance. I was like, there needs to be this careers version of this. My start was more as a career coach, but my own personal experience was working with people in startup careers, very entrepreneurial people. The more coaching I did, the more drawn I was to people starting a business, the more drawn they were to me as a coach for that purpose. That it felt wrong to call it a career coach anymore. It was like, I'm a founder coach. Over time, even the founder label didn't really identify with some people who were like, well, I have a portfolio of income. So that's when the term business coach really kind of came into play. That's over the course of 7 years.
Okay. And so, what did that look like making the switch from recruiting to be like, no, I'm not helping people find jobs anymore. I'm helping people create their own futures. Like a recruiting, I don't know what you call them, a recruit.
Agency.
Like, what did that first job in your new path look like?
Well, first of all, and this is like true of my story, but something I say to lots of my clients, no one's coming to pick you to do the perfect job or to give you the perfect opportunity. You have to choose yourself and decide that's what path you're on. My path was not super linear. I was in recruitment and then I had a career pivot to work in startup, this like startup accelerator. But the term startup accelerator didn't mean that much to me. What was really core to that decision wasn't where I worked so much as what I would be doing in my day-to-day work. And I really wanted variety. I wanted to be strategic and have lots of decision-making power. Essentially, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I think. So I found this company that was like allowing me to take on loads of different roles, wear loads of different hats. One of the hats was still, we need to hire our internal team. Could you do the recruitment? And then I did other things. So I didn't jump straight from recruitment to starting my own company. I think that would have been a hard switch because it was a very repeated role in recruitment. But this company that I was at for 2.5 years was a great training ground. I was doing public speaking, blog writing, strategy, team leadership, all the things. And then when that company had a change of direction, I decided to step away. That's when I realized I could try my hand at my own thing. There was a brief stint of a role I didn't enjoy in between those two, but it was like 8 weeks. So I kind of don't even count it. But I do think that role was important because I was able to leave that role without a company to go to and just say, look, I'm going to quit without a backup plan and see what happens. And that's when I decided to train as the career coach that I am now, or was before I stopped calling myself that.
Okay, there is nothing like having your back up against the wall to kick your butt into.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
I always say to people, I don't recommend quitting without a backup plan, but I did it and it did work. Do it if you have to.
You train to be a career coach. So is that the course you took, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's a coaching course. So if you're going to become a therapist or a physiotherapist or any profession has trainings to become part of that profession, and coaching is one of them. What analogy I learned on day one of coaching or even at the intake was like, if you think of a tree, the roots of the tree are no matter what coaching you go into, it's like psychology, human change, understanding yourself, values, drivers. But then at the top of the tree, you can sprout off in different directions: career coaching, life coaching, relationship coaching, health coaching. So no one trained us in the branches, they trained us in the roots. And then you can go into whatever direction you want. When it comes down to marketing yourself, it's saying, I'm going to be this, because no one's going to give you the permission slip to do that thing. There was a girl in my cohort, we had the exact same training. I remember thinking, you're going to be a star. I can just tell you're going to be one of these like influencer type coaches. And sure enough, today she's doing some amazing work in dating relationship coaching with a big online following. And so why did she choose that? I chose careers and business. It's like personal interest, personal skill set, backstory, education, all the things that allow you to find your own path. That's how I've landed where I did today, not because I took some perfect training for what I'm doing. It was kind of my own training wheels got me here.
Okay. And as you were like discovering the different branches, was there anything else that piqued your interest? Were you like, oh, this actually sounds kind of cool?
Well, it didn't teach you much about the career paths. They were just like, here's how to be a coach and good luck. There are business coaching schools out there for coaches, but this isn't what I did. In theory, I could have coached anyone on anything. The point of coaching is to help somebody make decisions and figure out what they want to do. But I was really always drawn to the work stuff. My entire career, I've spent helping other people figure out what they want to do with their career. And so I was one of the few people in the cohort who knew what type of coaching I would be doing from the get-go.
That's so true. And I feel like careers are becoming so flexible these days in terms of people being like, I'm gonna work this 9 to 5. I also have this interest in this other thing, so maybe I'll switch over to this full time, or maybe I'll just scale back my 9 to 5 and do that part time and do my business full time. Because you kind of saw this coming, that's why you got into this. But how are you finding that people navigate that?
Right.
The people that you come across.
It's funny because I think a lot of people consider themselves so unique in this. They're like, I'm somebody that really values flexibility and reaching my potential and having variety of clients and a personal brand. And it's like, yeah, I think that's what we all kind of want now. And I think that we want that because the systems that we've come from are slightly broken. We were sort of told this narrative of just get the degree, get the foot on the ladder, and you'll get the house and you'll get the shiny, bags or whatever your goal is. Probably not bags, but then we realized we couldn't necessarily have that based on the system. We have to create our own game. We have to create our own system. Picking and choosing between 9 to 5s and business building is so much more available to us than it ever was, given the tools at our disposal, the changing kind of attitudes of workforces. Obviously, COVID had a big impact. Technology has only made it easier. I think it's a natural byproduct of what we've been through as a society, and as like that kind of anti-hustle narrative that we've realized, like, actually, yeah, life isn't just for work. But then we're still in this reality of needing to work a lot to be able to afford to live. So that's why I think people are going, well, if I'm going to work, it should at least be a setup that I really personally feel fulfilled by and I'm interested in. And that's why we have this multi-hyphenate flexible setup. And I always say to people, like, if you can have your cake and eat it, like you can have your own thing and you can have some stable income, why not? Do what works for you.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's really like do what works for you. Like, not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. Like it just doesn't suit their personality, at least like full time. And not everyone is cut out to be in 9 to 5 because it doesn't suit their personality, at least full time. You really just gotta find what works.
We're having to reinvent ourselves every couple of years, right? Because even the people that have that dream 9 to 5 job, so many companies are slashing budget, slashing team headcount. Suddenly they're no longer in that dream job. And then they're like, well, I don't want to do that again. And I can't get hired to do something new. So I'm just going to create my own thing or have that blend, go freelance, have a part-time job and start the coaching practice on the side. We're not as fixed in our identities as we think. I love running my own business. I love making decisions and I don't mind the financial responsibility and risk that comes with it. I'm used to it now. But does that mean I wouldn't go into a job if somebody offered me an amazing job for a really cool salary? I would find it hard to be the entrepreneur coach that stopped being an entrepreneur, let alone a coach, but I would never say never.
No, I'm 100% with you. I'm like, if someone wants to like give me a little 6-figure gig for like a really cool thing that I believe in, why not?
Right. If the mission's there, if the people's there.
Exactly. Oh, it's so true.
Manifesting a job that we don't really want.
And I'm just like, maybe. But it's so true. Life is so expensive, right? And it's like, what is the smartest, most strategic way to make money without burning yourself out? I think that's key.
Yeah,
for me.
You said it perfectly. Without burning yourself out. Like there are so many people whose jobs I hear about and I'm like, wow, you get paid so much money. That's amazing. Good for you. But when I learn what they do every day, I'm like, I would not survive, because I'm so driven by like my energy. Like I get so much energy from what I do that I don't burn out because I love it so much, but I know what drains me and what would wear me out within weeks. This is why I can't do it.
And is it because running a business is a bit hard? You're mostly solo, right? Do you have an assistant yet?
I've nearly always had somebody working with me. I think I've learned I'm an external processor. So if I don't talk out loud about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, I don't make decisions, and therefore my business doesn't grow. I learned that relatively early on, but I've never had a full-time hire. Right now, I'm the one that delivers all the client work. I do all my coaching sessions and the group sessions for Authority Club. I create all my own content, do the strategy, all that stuff. I've hired people over the years to do different things, including marketing, operations. It's more like the technical side of marketing, which you don't think of as a thing until you do lots of marketing. Then you realize there's funnels and dashboards and graphics and editing videos, right? So that side of marketing. I've had various accountants, bookkeepers, VAs. I've tried lots of things, some of which haven't worked and some of which have, and I'm really happy with my current setup, which is somebody who works about 40 hours a month doing lots of things. My goal was to find somebody who could do lots of things, but we have very different strengths and weaknesses.
And it is just finding someone who can pick up the bits. Maybe you don't need do like someone else could do it. It doesn't need your essence in it,
right?
But also the bits that you just don't know how to do. Like there's no point in struggling.
Yeah, watching a 3-hour YouTube tutorial and being like, I have so much less energy now having done that task, that the rest of the day I'm in a worse mood or don't manage to get my stuff done. So there's a big financial commitment when you work for yourself to pay somebody else. I also pay for an office space, the accountant, tax and subscriptions and software. Suddenly the monthly revenue target is before I've even paid myself. But I have learned from experience the alternative, and I'm on a path to growth. I really want my business to grow. I really want to have a bigger impact, to reach more people and do really cool stuff. So it's like a necessary cost, but actually it's an investment, isn't it? And then, like you say, it's like, yeah, what doesn't need my essence? And just being able to hand that off is such a good feeling.
Yeah, I've noticed it, like getting some help myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you can go to bed at a normal time.
I have a life.
Like that's crazy.
You've got your podcast editor.
Exactly, and she'll be listening to this, smiling when she does.
Francis, go to bed.
And so, as a business coach, what's the thing that you see over and over that legitimately moves the needle for people, especially if they're trying to build quite like a streamlined solo-ish business?
I think the work I love to do with people and what I'm specialized in, and also what a lot of these solo business owners need, is to really commit wholeheartedly to a goal, but also a kind of positioning and a brand for themselves that they become sought out for that area of expertise. That process sounds quite simple, right? A lot of business advice, the theory is super simple. There's not that much nuance to the theory, but the execution of that theory and doing it and staying the course is where a lot of stuff can come up for people. To be a bit more tangible, a lot of clients I have want to be a thought leader and they want to be perceived as an expert in their space. And that's why I run Authority Club, the synonym to expert being authority. And it's like a club of people all sharing that same one goal. In order to be an authority or a thought leader in your space, you need to really like carve a space, right? You can't be an authority in like a vague thing. It's like, well, this is the thing that I'm going to be known in. And that requires putting a stake in the ground and really deciding not only what that thing is, but who it's for and the mission behind it. Then committing to sharing it regularly on certain platforms in certain ways and developing a signature style and approach to that sharing and building that body of work and showing up consistently and then calling in the right clients or opportunities. Doing all of that with somebody and helping them figure out the decisions along the way and where they're going to invest their time and their money so that it works. The process requires trust in themselves. They can have this, they are good enough, that it is going to be worth it. Posting on LinkedIn or writing a newsletter or starting a podcast will pay off. And trust in me to hold their hand through that journey and share what is and isn't working and help shine a light on their personal greatness. Here's the thing that I think you can do differently, or your unique perspective on the world. Let's celebrate and shout about this. A lot of that process is about deciding what you're not going to do. To answer your earlier question, you cannot, if you're going to do that, copy every other business model, every other influencer, or try and just shove loads of stuff on your plate and be like, I want to be known for this and I want to try this and I want to do this, because then none of those things have an opportunity to grow and compound over time. And so that expert thought leader status won't grow if you're trying to hold too much, and people hold on to a lot of stuff out of scarcity. Well, if I put all my eggs in this basket, what if it doesn't work? But it's like, if you try and hold all the eggs, you're let me try and get this analogy, like they just won't all hatch or they won't all work, and then you're just going to be like, I kind of stand for this thing and my revenue's kind of flaky, because you can't grow, you can't put fuel in the fire and really let something grow. So yeah, I help people make decisions about what they're going to do, basically, and then do it.
Love that. And there really is so much faith involved when you're like, I'm just going to stick to this thing and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep showing up, even if it feels like no one is paying attention. What do you say to those people who feel like they want to give up?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people?
Such a good question. It's like, what have you been doing, right? Because a lot of people's perspective of what they've been doing and the reality are quite different. Their perspective is, I keep showing up and it's not working. And the reality is often, I did a couple of things and I didn't get the response I wanted. So I went and hid in my cave for a while. So first of all, let's fact check. And then even if it is genuinely consistent, let's look at the strategy behind the consistency. Are you putting out things that are going to resonate? Get people to like, share, comment, download, reach out, whatever the goal is. Because if you're just putting out things for consistency's sake, but there isn't meaning or value behind it, they're not going to hit. What people don't want to hear is that this stuff is a craft and a deliberate practice. You're not going to be a one-hit wonder. You're not going to show up immediately and it just take off, because if you are like amazing, but it's more likely to be a fluke, or you've got some sort of training elsewhere that's really set you up for success, or you're already famous. Like the 90% of people I work with are not in that boat, and they're learning not only how to show up and the like fear and vulnerability that comes with that, they're also learning how to be an expert in their space, not because they're not, but because they haven't maybe externalized some of those ideas they've had before. So they are like an expert internally, but other people haven't yet had to learn from them. Communicating your expertise is very different than having expertise. And then knowing the more business sales components to it is another thing. So I have a load of clients who are really big experts in their space, but what they haven't yet done is really commercialize that expertise. And so there's a difference between knowing something and getting other people to take action. If you were to just talk about Notion, all the cool features and benefits of Notion, but didn't find a way to make people care enough to reach out to you or subscribe, then you're not going to get what you came here for. There's the emotional, fear-based, confidence-based layer, the actual like communication, copywriting, vision, like making something visually appealing. And then there's like the bit like, how do I make this a business and not just sharing things for the sake of sharing things? If you can do all those three things consistently, I promise you it'll work.
You almost have to treat yourself like a science experiment and be like, what variables can you change? And then I'm going to stick with this experiment. Does that improve anything? I think it is difficult for some people to detach the art from the science, especially if there's a lot of emotions attached to the craft that they're sharing as well. And I think that's just something that gets easier with time, to be honest.
Yeah, all of it does. You sort of learn what resonates because you've seen it more times, or you overcome the fear of posting something or putting yourself out there because you've just done it, like exposure therapy. Maybe the data, the science is saying something would work, but then there's like the art, which is the intuition of like, oh yeah, this is a cool idea, or I think I should share this or do this, even if there isn't evidence but learning to trust yourself. It's a super interesting, complex set of things, which I don't normally get the opportunity to share in such detail what I do with people, because most people just don't really understand why this would be a service, let alone why it's needed. But if you're doing it, if you're in the arena, as Brene Brown says, you get it. You're like, oh yeah, I have to deal with this myself.
I think ultimately for this, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on this, but you have to just love it first. Sometimes it might take years for it to blow up, but you're keeping on showing up, and that's what people are impressed by. So you have to love the thing that you're doing enough to keep doing it, even if no one is paying attention in the way that you would hope, essentially, and just trust that it would eventually work out. I think, was it Mr. Beast made 450 videos before anyone even cared, and DJ AG, he's going around online. He was in Wood Green High Street for like 2 years, people looking at him like crazy, and now he's at festivals. So you've got to love it.
I'm so glad you said that. I actually think, we talk about passion and blah, 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 but I don't think we talk about this in this context enough, which is, if you don't love it, why are you doing it? Because there's so many easier ways to make money that don't require you to graft and hustle and sacrifice things. And therefore, not everyone's going to be Mr. Beast, right? 99.9999% of people will never be that big. But his story is a great example of like, doing the thing because you love it allows you to make money from it. And I think that was why, when you asked me, like, would I have done a different type of coaching? It's like, well, the thing I loved about recruitment was helping people figure out what they wanted to do for their work. That was never the issue. So why would I not bring the things that I love, but then wrap around something differently? I work with people who are saying to me relatively early on in the coaching, they might not share this in the discovery call because it comes out later, but they're like, oh, well, I don't want to post on LinkedIn. I don't want to post on social media. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do instead? You know, just seeing what bright ideas they have. And they're like, well, I don't really want to do marketing. And that's really hard, because you're like, well, the thing is you've created this job kind of thing. No one's been like, here's your job description to go deliver this service. You've created this idea for this service or thought leadership, and I think it's brilliant. You know, I'm coaching you because I believe in you and I think it's a great concept. But when no one's paying you, you have to pay yourself by acquiring customers, and marketing is how you acquire customers. If you've got another plan to acquire customers, let's do that. If you don't have another plan, I'm going to teach you what works for marketing. And then we're going to just learn to love it, and we're going to figure out the version of it that you hate the least. But if you want to do none of it, I don't think I can help you.
No, it's true. You're just like, maybe this isn't for you, and that's okay.
And that's okay. Exactly. Like, being okay with not being the person who does the thing. Like, that should be the new slogan. Life's too short to do something that you think you should do, or you think you should be that person. It's like, yeah, you don't have to be.
Yeah. The reality and what you see is so different. It's so different. I think I was at an event once, and it's like 10% of the iceberg. There's like the iceberg of what you might see someone who is an authority figure online. 10% is just what you see online or their website, what they do, and the other 90% is the admin and the legal and the and that's just the bit that you have to find the version you hate the least.
And showing up to random events that you don't enjoy and you don't get anything from, or hosting a free talk for a community, and not that you hate it, you probably find something in those things that you like, but a lot of the time they don't materialize to anything. But then one day they will. I did this free event earlier this year, and most of the stuff I do like that is free. I'm not a paid speaker. I haven't built that profile, so I'm not waiting for somebody to be like, here's $5,000 to come and do a keynote. If you want to, let me know. But I'm just like, which rooms can I be in that will be beneficial to my brand and what I'm doing and the people I want to meet? And occasionally you'll be in those rooms and you're like, this is the best use of an hour or 2 hours. And I've made so many amazing connections. It's like, you get lucky because you're preparing, and you're preparing by doing things, and you're just getting out there.
Well, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
Yeah. And like, you miss 99% of the shots you don't take. But it's like wanting to do those things enough. Somebody was helping me look at my time tracker. I have a new coach. And they were like, let's do some time tracking and see where your time is going. And it was quite funny at the end. He was like, you don't really have any free time. Like most clients, there's a lot of dead time. And he's like, you've really maximized those hours. I'm like, I know. The reason I bring up this example is he was like, these evening events, are they social or are they work? And I'm like, I actually almost don't think of them as one or the other. And that's because I love talking about business and I love being in rooms with entrepreneurs. So I'm very fortunate in that I'm not like, oh, here I go to some work event I have to go to. It's like, this is a cool thing that I'm doing. And there's, back to your point, just enjoying it. Like,
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I just wanted to pick on something that you said, being not yet being a paid speaker, but we manifest that for you. In terms of income streams and things that earn you money as like an authority figure, for as much as you're willing to share, if it's percentages or otherwise, where do your income streams generally come from in your business?
I'll share them now and how they have looked as well. I think how they have looked is quite relevant. A lot of people want what I have now, but maybe wouldn't have known or thought to do what I had done to get here. When I first went self-employed, I didn't make a living from being a coach overnight. I did some part-time recruitment work and phased that out whilst I built up my coaching revenue. The first year as a coach, I only worked as a coach for about half the year, but I think I made like either 7 or 14 grand, not enough to live with a mortgage in London, right? So it's like, okay, well, that either comes at a personal loss or you just find other income streams. And over the years, I think I managed to remove the recruitment revenue by 18 months in, roughly. But that doesn't mean it never came back in. There were periods where it came back in short bursts. But for the most part, it's been 2022 coaching and group coaching, 2023 all one-to-one coaching. Maybe a small consultancy gig. I've done a couple of consultancy gigs and I've done a couple of like workshops, which I guess aren't coaching. But if we think about percentage of revenue, the majority of my income has been coaching, which I think is quite rare to make that much from coaching. But see my calendar and then you'll see how I do it. And then 2024, I made about 30 or 40% from group programs. And then this year, my group program has become more like a membership. This year, it's one-on-one coaching, a tiny bit of consulting, and membership.
Okay.
And no paid speaking gigs.
Hey, maybe you'll come back on in a year or two and be like, ta-da, I'm a paid speaker now.
But this is the thing, it's about energy allocation. I don't have the energy to allocate to doing that. I see the hustle and grind that takes, and I'm like, maybe one day. Like right now, I'm good. Like there are other amazing people who really want to do that. Give them those opportunities.
Yeah, I hear it.
Permission to change my mind.
Yeah, you just kind of roll with it and see what you feel like doing and what suits your life at the time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing this business journey section with us.
Thanks
to
for asking.
wrap up this, it's been so fascinating. To wrap up this question, I'm always quite fascinated. Like, what did you want to be when you grew up as a kid?
I don't know about you, but there are like many years with different careers. So there was the Spice Girls era where I wanted to be a pop star, obviously. I had my interior design era where I used to draw interiors of houses all the time and be convinced I would be an interior designer, which, spoiler alert, good at the eye, but not the practical side of it. When you watch the interior design shows, you realize that you have to be quite practical and move things around. I think it's relevant because a lot of people think about a job just from the label and how cool it sounds, and they forget to think about the reality of the day-to-day of what you'd be doing and how you'd spend your time. I had another set of childhood desires to be a writer, a journalist, and a fashion blogger. The through line has always been creative things, being interested in how things fit together and storytelling, being on stage. So like a media personality almost was like kind of something else I thought about, even though maybe not when I was like 5. But yeah, I feel like I've stayed true to who I was as a child in a version of living in a capitalist society, what I could actually do. Yeah.
Capitalism, but he's always there.
It's going to be that.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Would love to hear what you're thinking. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Even better, if you're loving the show, take 2 seconds to rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other people find us. And if you want to be a guest, details in the show notes on how to sign up. Now, let's jump back in.
All right. So now we're going to hop more into things that just make your life a little bit easier. And I always like to start this section off with a song. So do you have a walk-up song or a song that just gets you, like, I'm building a playlist, which I'll share later.
Oh, I'd love that. I was thinking about the girl band Haim and the vibe and energy I get from Haim. Living in Chicago briefly, and I, for some reason, put them on every day. There's one song called The Wire, and it's just got that badass energy. Because obviously we've got like Beyonce and Rihanna, and there are so many tracks that I could put on. But there's something with Haim where I'm like, you're just so cool as well.
Yeah, I'm a big Haim fan as well. That album, first
so
album,
good,
classic.
You could just
classic, 0 skips.
No notes.
Coming to the UK.
Let's check out.
And so now we kind of go into personal policy territory. Do you have any personal policies that keep you grounded? Like no pre 10 a.m. calls? Do you have anything like that? Or you're just like, this is my boundary?
Sometimes they get it, but it will be very rare. My clients don't have my phone number. So my phone is not my work phone. It's personal. I don't intend on changing that anytime soon. If you're a client and have my number, know that I've made an exception for you, and please don't message me more than you need to. But yeah, I have like Slack for client stuff and email. When I go away, I really do try and switch off. It's not doing myself or my clients any favors to be half in, half out. Sometimes I do work remotely, which is like, I can't afford to take time off right now, but I'd love a change of scene, in which case I am working. I don't watch much TV. I try and read. I think that's better for my mind. And work out 4 times a week. Those feel like the main ones, but I'm sure there's more.
Nice. I like that. On that phone number situation. Some people, you just really can't get them out of WhatsApp and they will not respond to emails. So you're like, oh my God, fine. But like, please no. Please no.
It's like, I don't want to be checking my phone in the middle of the day either, right? I want to be in work mode and focused. If I'm like maybe going to miss a client message in there, but also most likely it's a non-urgent friend thing, then I'm going to get distracted. It's one of those things you just try your hardest to have a separation with. There's so many inboxes. We have Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, email, text, WhatsApp. How many inboxes can we have to check? I did find an app for this actually. It's called Beeper, which integrates like an API across all your different inboxes. So in theory, you can just open your Beeper app and reply to stuff. But I'm now wondering why I stopped using it.
How is it? Do you remember how it's spelled?
Beeper.
Oh, like Beeper. Okay, perfect. I'm actually going to look into that because I'm like, you know what? It may take me a week to get back to you just because there are like 10 inboxes.
Yeah.
And
I just forgot Slack as well.
And then when it comes to style, do you have a personal style uniform that you go by? Maybe like trend or aesthetic or brands that you
would have found this so hard to answer until last summer because I worked with a style person. And it was funny because I was like, I don't know if I want to change my style as much as like curate it better, because I buy so much secondhand. Occasionally I'd look in my wardrobe and be like, what is going on here? What is this vibe? I don't know what it is. And actually working with her helped me go, oh, there is a style here. There is like a thing here, but let's name it. And the sort of phrasing, there's like different styles. There's like urban, there's like classic, there's like loads of different styles. And the two that I really gravitated toward were creative and classic. So it's like the combo of the two. So today, I'll show you. I've got leopard print trousers on and a blazer, which is probably the creative classic. And that's like, it's not my uniform, but it's an example of how that might show up.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of secondhand.
Is that in-person shops, like charity shops?
Exclusively. Like exclusively. I hate online shopping, let alone online vintage shopping. Like, it's too much of a risky game. And some people feel the opposite, right? Like they don't want to go into a shop and have to look through stuff.
Yeah.
I find it weirdly relaxing. I've been doing it since I was 16. I had a real love of fashion in like 16 to 18. And this is quite an embarrassing story, but I had a memory stick with all these pictures of my outfits on. Because why not? Because I'm a child and I was just loving my life taking pictures of my outfits. And the memory stick went missing. Some girls in the year above found it at school and were really taking the piss.
They didn't have the vision. And look at you now. Look at you now.
I'm not sure I'm a style icon, but I make it work.
Is there anything in your beauty regime that you rely on in terms of products or routines?
I think it's non-negotiable for me every day to do to my face what my face needs: double cleansing, moisturizing, serum, night cream, all that stuff. In terms of products, I wouldn't say I've found my one thing. I test different things. I like The Ordinary. I think, stockists are everywhere. It's good value for money. It's like good ingredients. But I'm also a TK Maxx girl. This comes in with my love of charity shops. I like being like, oh, what am I going to find?
Yeah.
The fun thing about TK Maxx is you find all sorts, but the difficult thing is you can't find it again. And so I just have this hodgepodge of products, and I'm like, I need to stop doing this because, it's quite addictive.
Yeah. It's tricky as well because then you've got like half finished products. I'm like, I just need to finish this cleanser and then move on to the next one. But this one has this in it.
Yeah.
No,
I do love a
very
bath as well. So I'll always do like the bath
Mm.
salts and bath bombs,
Yeah.
the moisturizing stuff.
And then business productivity or even life productivity. Are there any tools or apps that really drive it home for you?
I'm not just saying this, but Notion.
Hey.
I love a podcast. A lot of my podcasts are not that businessy. I think there's a gap for more business podcasts, at least ones that speak to me. I might just have to create one. But yeah, I mean, I love my Kindle. I think that's been great for being like, there's this business book I really want to read, and let me just get it right now. I can get it instantly. My watch is a bigger one than I realized as I was thinking about this question. I was like, I haven't taken my watch off really. I do take it off, but I wear it every single day and night. It's a smartwatch, but you can't tell. So it's good for sleep routine, exercise tracking, all that stuff. It can tell you when you're getting ill. So that's been a bit of a hack.
See, what brand is that
It's
for people who are listening and not
Withings.
I'm always quite fascinated because I feel like ads tell a lot about a person. What ads are you getting right now on like Instagram and stuff?
Well, obviously, whatever conversation I had last, they'll just show up within an hour.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's the hair growth serums that I've been looking at them for so long. So I get all the ads. I keep not making a commitment. And I think that's because I noticed that my hair, like I used to have a really full fringe and that's kind of grown out. I don't know whether hair growth serums are genuinely having a moment or if it's just my algorithm, but I'm like, maybe this is worth trying. And then I have bought some and they just lie around my apartment not doing anything. So I'm like, I don't probably need more. I need to actually use the ones I have.
Right. I feel like stuff like that. Sometimes it's tricky because you get it, but then the reality, you've got to build that extra thing into your routine every day. It's just like, oh gosh, this is an extra step.
Right. And I've recently done this nutrition program. So I'm already taking like all these supplements and then I'm doing this food tracking. My brain is quite like the mental load is quite full with the business stuff as well and like the health stuff. And then you're like, how do people do this and then have a family and kids? I think that's where I would imagine if that day comes, it'll be like ruthless prioritization and just having to say no to way more things because otherwise I don't think people do it.
And I have a weird thing with caps on things, tiny little sachets of things. Well, like if I had to physically open a bottle to get to the thing, I'm also not going to do it.
Wow.
There is a mental thing that I've realized about myself. I think the £1,000,000 idea, to whoever is listening, feel free to bring me in on it. Royalties and that, but is like a supplement pump. So like a bottle and it's got the supplements and stuff in it. But instead of having to open a tiny thing,
Yeah.
we just pump it straight into
I
the
love that. And then
water.
little travel cases, you just pump it at the start of the week and take it around with you.
Because, yeah, I'm done with the tiny sachets and bottles.
She said it. You heard it here first.
Thanks for giving us a lowdown.
I hope it was helpful.
course.
I don't know who I'm helping, but it's just like,
I think a lot of people will relate.
yeah, I just want to know that we're not weird, don't we? Half the time, be like, yeah, I do that too.
Oh, hey again. Did you know there are roughly 100,000 London business babes out there? And we're on a mission to reach as many as possible. Enjoying what you hear? To support the hours of work that goes into making this special, you can either A, consider supporting directly as a paid monthly Substack subscriber to also unlock future exclusive content for less than a coffee and a croissant. B, any brands listening? We'd love to explore ways for you to be part of the journey. C, at the very least, on your next co-working date, tell a fellow London business babe about us. Details in the show notes. Now let's jump back in.
Awesome. Now we're gonna dive into more of your London recommendations. Where are you based?
Well, I think it is relevant because most of my recs will be where I'm based. I am a creature of habit and stay local. So I'm in East London, Hackney, and specifically Hackney Central, which is why I just say Hackney, because it's the centre of Hackney, I suppose, is my nearest station.
Yeah. And so, is there anything on your London bucket list at the moment?
I was thinking I'd love to see Hamilton. I've still not seen Hamilton. There's so many great smaller plays in the West End. Stratford now has a theatre, so I'd love to go see something there and be a bit more local. I really want to stay in a fancy hotel in London just because, not because I'm traveling here, even because I live here, but like a bougie couple of nights, maybe like the Ned, that's on my list. There are some places on my doorstep that I still haven't been to, like Brat in Climson's Arch, just right next to my office, and I still haven't been there, for example. Some of these are more attainable than others in the short term.
Okay.
Attainable this summer if I plan them.
That is like reality and idea, right?
Two different things.
But so when it comes to things that you love, are there any food spots that you want to shout out?
I think of Mare Street, where I am based, is to be a little bit like, it's a bit like rough around the edges. Like there's some funky stuff going on there. There is like lots of cool places near it, but I think there is a lot of underserved places on Mare Street. So like there's this Turkish place called Anatolia, and it's like not busy in the sense of like there's a queue or anything like that. You can rock up and get a table anytime, but it's consistently got people in it. They've been there for like over a decade, and just amazing, like kebab meat, like kebab and hot bread and salad. They deserve a shout out. About saying that because they're still not going to be too oversubscribed. There's a really cute new cafe called Running Late, really close to that as well, which has its
I've seen it.
running club and walking club, and they've just done a really great job with the vibe and the community aspect of that. There are so many bakeries. This falafel place, which is really popular down the road from my office. East London, there's lots of nice independent food places and pubs. I feel very fortunate to have them on the doorstep.
Yeah, I feel like East London has so many good things. I'm Southeast London, so I don't get to make it up there that often. But when I do, I'm like, ooh, that looks good. And so we'll be adding these to a list. In terms of if you're going out to meet friends, are there activities or anywhere you like going?
I'll do often like a class pass and a brunch situation with a friend on a weekend, head to yoga or a Pilates class and then grab some brunch, which is, basic bitch energy, which we love. Yeah, I mean, so often in the summer, beer garden, even if you're not drinking, there's just such a good atmosphere in London pubs. I think it's not until you travel to other parts of the world that you realise how great the pub scene is here, that it's got a certain energy to it. So many amazing parks. So often I'll just meet a friend for a walk in the park and maybe buy a coffee, but we don't have to spend all the money to hang out. I feel like I'm constantly getting on trains and planes to go see friends who live nowhere near me. I have friends all over. Not like I'm so popular, but a lot of my best friends aren't even in London, let alone East London. So I travel outside to see them.
Fair enough. And going back to brunch, do you have any favourite brunch spots?
Cafe Route is really good. They started out, I think, in Dalston. Now they've got a few. The one on the Haggerston Canal. They have one on Broadway. They have one in Dalston Square. It's this Mediterranean small chain restaurant. and they're also open in the evening, but they're best renowned for brunch, like sashuka, eggs. The coffee's amazing. Yeah, big hearty lunch portions as well, like big salads and mezes.
Wow, the meze. Cool.
You can't go wrong.
And as someone who runs your own authority club, are you part of any either London specific networks or networks in general that you really recommend?
I was thinking about this the other day. I borrow from different worlds. So I
Okay.
don't know that any of them are like, oh, you should join this. Many of them are curated for people in specific roles. So like one example is I'm in this like founder coach community where we like come together to talk about the practice of founder coaching called KX, which I got invited to, which has been really cool. And then another like newsletter writer community, which is for newsletter writers, and that's online. There's one called Nova Capital, which has Empower Her, a female community side, and they're in London, so they're worth checking out. I feel like there's like Substack writer meetups, which I need to get involved with again. We should go to one together.
Yeah, with like Lex. Yeah, I think she's actually signed up.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I met her at an event I ran actually. So yeah, the cool thing about those different worlds is although, you know, I'm in this like education entrepreneurs community, like they don't overlap and then they do overlap. And then when they do overlap, you're like, oh yeah, this is like cool. So we definitely have a lot in common because we're both in this, like we met at Fabric and now we're probably in other overlapping worlds. Like you had Jazz Marfo on this podcast, who's an authority club. So that's cool.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Oh, all of the worlds colliding.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, she's great.
So cool. 100%.
Don't worry if it's a lot to take in. All of the amazing tools, spots, and recommendations mentioned by our guests can be found in the Coffee and Oysters guide. Details in the show notes.
Well, thank you for sharing your little inside scoop in London. Now we're going to wrap up a little bit. So let's start with wins.
Okay.
What's a recent win that you want to celebrate? And is there anyone else that you want to celebrate?
I think launching Authority Club with nearly 30 members in May was a great win for me personally and professionally, obviously, same thing. But for the members as well, I've seen so many of their wins inside the community, which have been like, oh, I finally like got this website going, or like someone recently did a 10x talk and like my client Chloe has got her website out and is getting more inbound referrals and requests. A website isn't necessarily the starting point for some people. Sometimes they've been doing this thing for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they're ready to like elevate what they've been doing and really put words to all the things they've been doing. So those to me are milestones, but not because they're faking this copy on a website. It's the manifestation of all of the things I've been thinking about, not just since I started my business, but maybe my entire career. I wanted to give them shout outs for pulling those things together. I think I've been tagged in 4 website announcement posts recently on LinkedIn because they're all coming out, and I'm like, yes, you've done great jobs.
Oh, amazing. And then I always like to say, you never know who's listening. So is there anything that you want to plug, and is there anything you need help with?
Oh, I think if anything I've said resonated about how I help people and the work I do, feel free to reach out to me, LinkedIn, Substack, or email. We can talk about Authority Club or one-to-one. I'm always looking for help with streamlining the things that I do and making more impact. So I think the newsletter side of things is really big for me. It has been really big, and I think it needs to be even bigger. If anyone wants to chat newsletters, I give a lot of newsletter advice, but I think sometimes it's hard to receive advice on newsletters because there's not that many people who've been doing things at scale or for a longer time. I'd love to be open to hearing support and advice from people who've got that part of their business going really well. That's probably the next big project again for me, even though I have newsletters. The hint is in the plural that I need to figure out.
Both of them are great. And for people who don't know, what are they about?
One is called The Ask, and it's named after my coaching practice. It's this idea of asking the right questions, figuring out what you want, and specifically for entrepreneurs who are at crossroads, pivoting, scaling, or wanting to step into their authority. I write ideas, thoughts, and reflections on that, how I'm doing it, how my clients are doing it. Monday mornings is about the shift entrepreneurship, mass entrepreneurship being more of a workforce, future of work pattern happening all around us. I didn't see anybody talking about that. People talk about it in pockets, but not somewhere dedicated to that. I felt well placed to be that person, having worked in careers and entrepreneurial space for a long time and meeting a lot of people who come to me wanting to start a business. Some people out of necessity and being forced out of the 9 to 5. Monday Morning explores all those things, the good, the bad, and the ugly of that shift.
Love that. Big fan of both. We'll be linking both.
You're welcome. I'll be linking both in the description so everyone can go explore. But thank you.
Thanks for having me. And love being part of your world and all the cool stuff you're doing with this podcast. It's really fun.
Thanks for listening. Get in touch at coffeeandoysters@gmail.com. Stay connected at Coffee and Oysters Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And never miss out by subscribing to Substack. Details in the show notes. And most importantly, keep those 5-star ratings coming and see you next time.